2018. And the project that we want to talk about today was conceived and executed during my tenure as the Managing Director of Siemens. I want to first make a point that why I have decided to come in and speak to all of you, despite the fact that over 2 years, the amount of personal and family harassment that we have had, and anybody who has even not got through it, I don't think anybody can imagine what this harassment means when the state comes after you and on charges which are completely baseless. And I'm going to talk about it today. But the more reason why I came out today is because, unfortunately, due to the recent developments regarding this case, my name is all over, and which is impacting as a professional. The only thing that we earn in life is our reputation. That's the only thing that we have earned in our life. And my reputation is being smothered. My family is going through the coals, been driven through the coals. More importantly, I'm seeing what's happening to the industry, because I have my industry friends who are calling up and saying, why should anybody be doing such projects with anybody, with the government? Because if this is what the outcome of these things going to be. And last but not the least are the 213,000 students who are out over there, who have been trained, certified, doing jobs, and their certification is now being brought into question. It is not an individual versus individual. I could have taken the beating. My family could have taken the beating. But when I look at and when I see the amount of people who are contacting me on my personal media and asking for a statement, I thought it's important that I come out, and I've never done this before, so I would love to take your indulgence to listen me through and pose me your questions. I'm going to strictly talk about only the project, the role that Siemens played, the role that I played, and the successful implementation of this project. Let me give you a little background of this project. What's the reason of these projects? The reason of this project is twofold. One is industry downwards, the country downwards, state downwards, and there is a company upwards. What's the benefit for the company? Why would a company do such a project? Now, when Andhra Pradesh, for example, got bifurcated in 2014-15, the brief to us was that this part of the state has been primarily an agricultural state. When you're an agricultural state, unlike the other part of the state, where IT had by then got established in a big way, it was a primarily agricultural state. Now, when you say industrial infrastructure, it is not about building roads and building corridors and building industrial lands. It's also about building the people who are going to work in that industry. You can't have an industrial infrastructure without people being ready in this state. And for an agricultural infrastructure state, this is an impossible task of impossibility. And that is what the vision of the state government was, which was told to us, based on which we did a market research, we found out the gaps, we aligned with the state government's industrial policy, and the entire scope of the project was decided. Based on the decision of the scope of the project, this project was designed to not just address the high end of the engineering skills, but also the mid-range and the low end of the skills. In the parlance of industry, it is called the white-collar, blue-collar, grey-collar, and rust-collar workforce. And that's the reason why there are Center of Excellences, there are technical skill development institutes, and so on and so forth. Established over 40 locations. Initially it was 36, it was extended without any change of any additional payment. It was extended over 40 locations, where over 200 plus labs have been set up. These centers span over 250,000 square feet and more. I don't know the latest numbers. And till 2021, 213,000 students have been trained, certified, and all their details are available in the system. In 2021, so the contract was to build, operate, and transfer. Build, then operate for 2 years, handhold for 1 year, and then transfer this at the end to the government. All of the phases have been completed. In fact, it took more than 3 years, not thanks to COVID, the center was additionally run. Handover wasn't possible, and in 2021, these centers were handed over. 40 booklets for each of these centers with complete stock register, co-signed by Design Tech, who was the system implementation for the project, with APSSDC representing the state government, and with the center head, which is the principal of the college, have been signed and have been handed over to the government. At the end of the successful implementation of this project had received letter of commendation from APSSDC saying, great job done. And I'm talking about 2021. On the same 2021, the others, and this is letter of commendation has come from the managing director of APSSDC, not some officer. I was not in Siemens. This is my after knowledge. 2018, I left. I had no understanding of what was happening. On the same 2021, there's another side of APSSDC, which, for reasons unknown, and I would be very curious to know what was the internal trigger, that while the managing director is giving a letter of commendation based on successful handover and successful completion of this project, would somebody want to come and do an investigation which never ever did a single visit of any of these centers and did any single verification of this project and said this project is bogus, based on which an FIR was launched, and rest is history. You all know what has happened. This is a big mystery, because it's pretty much like the analogy that I want to give is that you are investigating how a murder was done, how a person has been killed, etc., etc. When the person who is supposed to be murdered is actually standing out over there. The person is actually standing out over there, and you are investigating how he was murdered, where is the weapon, etc. It intrigues me. I'm not a lawyer. I'm a professional. But it intrigues me that without even first, there's an Aesop fable that if the crow says that your ear has been taken, the first thing that you should do is put your hand on the ear and see if your ear has been taken. Don't run after the crow. This is something we have learned in the schools. Why something as basic as this was not done before these charges were riled up to say that this project is a bogus project, sham project, and then allegations, wildest allegations I can't even imagine, have been filed upon me and other people, and rest is all up to you. This project was so successful that KPMG in its 2016 State of India report, KPMG Global in the State of India report, cites this project as an example and a case study of one of the most successful projects that could ever be done. All of that has been ignored. The detailed document leading to the project, which has all the reasons, it's like the whole scope document, which was a part of every conversation based on which the deliveries were done. By the way, I must tell you also this: the scope of this project was end delivery. It was not supply of products or hardware, software, etc. It was the entire scope. It was operational scope of outcome-based scope of training students to the industry quality that is required. That document has been consistently been not referred to, and that document has been consistently been not brought into picture, because it clearly shows the level and the depth of which this project was envisaged and what this project has been delivered. And as you would understand, when you're talking about the scope as outcome, it is not just a bill of material. People who understand engineering, I would use an engineering word, it's also called the bill of process, which is the know-how, which in many people who talk about, startup industry call IP, but it's a know-how, it's a knowledge. And there is a bill of services. All of this was envisaged in this project, and all of this has been delivered. Because otherwise, I'm simple. Look at the end result. If the end result is what it is in front of you, and the infrastructure that was used to deliver that is in front of you, that's what the project speaks about itself. And I can always say that this project, and as Siemens, the company that I led and I worked with, we led this project successfully with our partners and our ecosystem. There were hundreds of partners and ecosystem players who were engaged in delivering this project, and this project was done absolutely successfully. I'll stop now. I'll take questions.
So here one basic question. Mr. Suman, no one is raising any doubts about your credentials or about the end results of this project, but they are raising many doubts about the corruption. So what
There was no corruption. There couldn't have been any corruption. Because the largest part of the project, which came in as in-kind grant from Siemens, was not even a flow of money. It was flown through discounts. So how can you give corruption on discounts?
See, one thing. So you are saying corruption is no. But basically government and the CID say that there is no agreement between Siemens and the government of Andhra Pradesh. Is that right?
Is APSSTC not government of Andhra Pradesh?
No.
So basically there has been no agreement between the skill development, the government or the and the Siemens. Now they're completely
Siemens directly.
If I was a managing director of Siemens and my CFO, who was a co-signatory to this agreement, was a managing director of Siemens, and if this agreement has been vetted by Siemens worldwide, then I don't understand what is that there is no agreement with Siemens. Obviously there's an agreement with Siemens. Siemens is a signatory to the tripartite agreement.
So do you think that any physical verification has yet not been done in this SME forensic report page number 12 also mentions that there has been no physical verification of the assets on ground, and they are saying that nothing is on ground. The entire project was a black and black.
So that is what I said. That is what surprises me. I mean, it is all in the state of Andhra Pradesh. You can go all around the country to arrest people and talk to people, etc. Why don't you just go in your backyard and see this person is still alive? As I said, you're investigating a murder. The guy who's supposed to be murdered is actually sitting right next to you. Talk to him and say, were you murdered? No. I can, the matter is sub judice. I don't want to get into it because, I have the strongest belief on the courts, and we have all submitted ourselves to the courts. Whatever relief we have got from the courts. But I can tell you there's nothing that was, there was all of these are baseless, bald allegations. And that's exactly what, if you see the reports, the judgments that have come out so far, the judgments are clear. There is not an iota of evidence. These are bald allegations, completely bald allegations. What did I use in Gujarat? What did I use for Gujarat? What name? No, that's wrong. No, so that's what I'm saying. So somebody can, just because somebody has been authorized by the system, if that person lies, that lie becomes truth. So you ask for evidence because I can show you, and I've seen that. I don't have the documents, but Design Tech had the documents because they're still a functioning company. They have the documents. I've always even within the Siemens circle, I've been known as Suman Bose. Somyadri Shekhar Bose is my given name, my name on my passport. The Gujarat documents have been signed as Suman Bose. The signature which I've affixed in the Gujarat document and the Andhra Pradesh document are my bank signatures. This is massive benefit. This is like marketing benefit. I'm telling you this. So this is a practice which has been started for the last 50 years since the tech industry has come in globally. That the idea is that in economics, right? You have demand. You create demand by creating demand within consumers, and you create demand by pushing in supplies. And perfect example. I'll give you some few examples for you to understand. So if lakhs of people, crores of people get trained on a particular product, when they come to the industry automatically starts selecting the product. I'll give you an example, simple example. Everybody has heard about this product called Tally in India. It's an Indian software product, one of the most successful products. What was Tally's strategy against all the global players? Everybody who was an accountant, everybody who became a chartered accountant, everybody who started accountancy in the country had a copy of Tally, a free copy of Tally. And therefore when they learned Tally, they went to the company could have used any other software, but they still wanted a Tally on their backend to do the accounting. This has been done by the likes of Siemens, this has been done by the likes of Sun, HP, IBM. I have worked for the globals, and I can tell you, please Google. And you find out about every company's global grant-in-kind program, you will see there across the world. And this Siemens program has happened in multiple areas. So Siemens is giving its money to build its own future demand. Because the people who get trained, you give in one hand, you earn in another hand. 1:10, 1:20, 1:100 is the return. If I train 2,15,000 people, and each of them go into a company, and imagine the demand and imagine what Siemens will sell. And this is the true for every company. So there is no, it's not just large use of heart. It's also business. It's a very good business sense. Investing, just like the reason why we would invest in our child's future. It's a great business, it's a great economic sense. And that's why Siemens invested.
Sir, here, two questions I have. If you made a agreement with the government, who are the contenders and who are the portions of the particular agreement? The second, if Siemens is interested, what is the portion of working in that particular skill development project, and what is the design tech portion, and what is the skill development corporation portion? Can you explain all these?
I hope I got your question. If I haven't, please ask me for clarification. I think your question is, if I understand correctly, that the roles in this project, primarily, right? So, APSSTC represented the government, the mandate of the government to create an industry infrastructure in the state. And based on their industrial policy, segments were chosen which had automotive, which had heavy engineering, which had electronics, electricals, etc., etc. That was APS. So APSSTC was the holder of the project. So the colleges were selected by APSSTC. The APSSTC was one of the certificates went in with, and it's a joint certificate by APSSTC and Siemens. So APSSTC was there, and it was the overall owner of the project. Siemens was the technology partner. So everything to do with transferring that vision of the government to reality was done through Siemens. As a visionary technology company globally, that's the role that we played. In that role, we also brought in our products. We also brought in our hardware, our software, our coursewares, etc., etc. But given that the vision of the project was much larger than what a single company can do, we had also therefore brought in lots of our industry partners. Whether it's in the area of robotics, whether it's in the area of manufacturing, whether it's in the area of automotive repairs, our customer partners, etc., we have brought them in. And we have assimilated this under the platform of skill development. And this has been the standard practice that we have done, not just in Andhra Pradesh, but in all other states and places that we have done. This is a mammoth task. That's the reason we used to only do one project a year. Right? Conceivement was to take about a year, implementation is another year, and then you're running it for another 3 years, right? So that was Siemens' role. And design tech role was as a system integrator. You need a system integrator who will integrate all of this, all of these pieces, all the hardware, the know-how, the software, the coursewares, the hiring of the faculties. There were 450, 500 faculties over here for all these years, ensuring that the certificates are done. If there are issues that comes up, to resolve this issue on the ground, so design tech was the system integrator. That was the role. And
the basic question, who are the persons involved in this entire agreement?
Person in the sense what?
In the sense, the government, Siemens, and you are saying that design tech. Government officials are from your side, your company side, and design tech.
So my company side, it's a tripartite agreement.
Two persons.
No, it's a tripartite agreement.
Their plan is entirely different. Without knowledge of the Siemens company, you personally had an agreement with the AP government.
Sir,
What they are saying.
sir,
What do you want to say on that?
Sir, again, this is a conjecture. Okay, I think the best place for this conjecture to get discussed and found out is in the courts. They have failed to produce a single evidence of this matter in the courts in the last 2.5 years. Statements are very easy to make. Truth is truth. If anybody believes, and if I would find my ex-organization coming in front and saying that this has been done, I would like to challenge them. But I'm sure Siemens wouldn't say this. I'm pretty sure they haven't done this.
But what do you, Mr. Booth, how will you respond to the remand report? Because there has been till now there has been no evidence of the money paid implicating this scam, implicating the allegation, the news one.
You must ask. You are representing the press. You must ask this. There is a reason why you are called the fourth pillar of democracy. This is for you to ask. The reason I'm coming in front of you as an individual today, and I'm thankful that you are giving me the space to talk, is not just because how I have personally suffered. I can tell you separately how my family is in doldrums.
Do you think it's political vendetta?
So, ma'am, I cannot answer this. I am not from politics. I am from industry. We do simple things, much simpler things.
Yeah.
We do projects, we build roads, we build factories, we find people jobs. And I can talk about the fact that my company, as a global company, has delivered, and we are proud of this. You mean to say CITD then, who did the valuation of this project, is a co-conspirator? You think KPMG, who wrote it in this State of India report, is a co-conspirator? You think so everybody is a co-conspirator. I mean, I feel like laughing, or maybe crying, something, I feel like doing something. I can't just keep quiet.
Sir, do you think selective arrests are being made only KDP party and because time have been stated at the end?
Ma'am, I cannot say this. Ma'am, I cannot answer this, but I think you as a media have all the rights to ask the question. I can only say that this project and the tenure of the company that I represented, the partners that I represented, despite what has happened to me, my only regret is why did I even do this? But aside of that, the personal regret aside, I am proud of what we did. It was one of the most successful things that we did. The enwrapping vision of the government that was wrapped in front of us, which was all inclusive, which was going to find, and I remember the Honorable Chief Minister at that point of time saying, and if I can quote his words as much as clearly as I can, he said, when we did Hyderabad, not all people who got trained to do IT in Hyderabad worked in Hyderabad. They went all around the world. They became the state's ambassador. He used the word, I remember that word, few words. He said they became the state's ambassador. We will want to do the same thing. The people who get trained over here may not all find job in the state of Andhra Pradesh, but they will become the state's ambassador wherever they go and work. And that will bring people, if people know that this is a place, this is like a mine out of which diamonds are come, or such employees can come out, they will come in and invest. Kia Motors, when it went in to invest in Andhra Pradesh, we were honored to train, the centers were honored to train also their people. They were amazed. They have gone on record in saying how wonderful training, and it's a global company, the training that was given to their people. And it co-affirmed their position of investing in Andhra and making those cars out of Andhra. I can only, as I said, I can only talk about, I don't want to get into conjecture, because it's sub judice. And plus, it's not fair on me. I only want to say the facts.
The first 3 months sold 3,000 crores grant, later it changed to discount. Why the change?
No, the grant in kind is always discount. How do you get a grant in kind? How do you get a grant in kind? It's like you're praying to God, right? God is giving you benefaction. God doesn't really come in front of you and give you benefaction. Think about a grant in kind. What is grant in kind means? In kind means what? Can it ever happen? Suppose you go to Amazon Prime and you get no, change your words. So how do you give that grant in kind? You give that grant in kind through discount, right? Finally, the commercial terms are discount, invoice, payment, proceeds. These are commercial terms. You can't invent a new term in commercial terms. You have to give it through, you have to administer it through discounts. Siemens and all the partners who gave these extraordinary discounts, grant in kind, they administered it through discounts. Of course, grant in kind, and this is, by the way, I have explained this time and again, over multiple times, to the investigative authorities.
How much of the payment did you mention in the agreement in the tripartite?
I don't exactly remember, but I think it was including taxes. It was 371 crores. Thereafter, the taxes went up because Swachh Bharat tax and all that came up. We absorbed it. Number of centers went up. We absorbed it.
How much the Siemens company get from the 371 crore?
Including software, hardware, services. Again, I don't have the figures right now in front of me because after I left Siemens, I don't have any access to any documents. But I would say it's at least about 100 crores. About 1/3 was from Siemens, and the rest 2/3 was from our industry partners.
But designing actually wrote to CID in February 2022, right? They wrote that their last 51 crore was released to the account of Siemens.
Designtech MD has written that all 371 crore was... No. I don't think so. No. If you can show it to me, and maybe you should ask the Designtech MD what he has said. No, Siemens, so is your question how much Siemens was paid? Siemens was paid about, everything put together was about 100 crores. The rest were spent with to other, like, there were hardware vendors, there
The
were,
entire 371 crores
came to Design Tech.
from the government to Siemens.
Came to Design Tech. Design Tech was the implementation partner, it came to Design Tech. No, 371 crores came to Design Tech. 371 crores came to Design Tech. Design Tech paid to everybody, including Siemens.
Then why did you go to headquarters so much of time? You were arrested and you got on paid and the ED was involved, GST was involved, exchange all was involved. Did you talk to your headquarters about all this?
When I was in Siemens, this hadn't happened, right? There was a GST investigation that had started because one of the sub vendor did not submit his service tax. And you have to understand, service tax at that point of time, you didn't even know if your sub vendor has given the service tax or not. So there was input to credit taken, etc., etc. And I'm telling you this because it's important that the matter is still not adjudicated. The investigation started in 2017. The matter is still under adjudication. It hasn't even crossed adjudication, right? So this is as far as the service tax is concerned and GST is concerned. And Design Tech, I'm not part of it, so I don't know. But Design Tech is, you can definitely, I'm sure, go and ask Design Tech what is the latest of that state.
So one more thing.
Just a sec. I think I'm going to finish her answer. The rest, when it happened, I was no more in Siemens. I wrote to Siemens saying such and such is happening. Please support me with an access to the documents. Siemens refused to give me an access to the documents. In written, Siemens refused me. The answer reply came back from the Siemens legal team that you are no more part of Siemens. We will not give you access to the documents. No, when the investigation is on, I'm no more in the company. So since 2018 I'm no more. So I wrote to Siemens asking for access to the documents, and those access were categorically denied for whatever reason. There must be a reason that they have access, but they said they will, whatever, I'm sure implied is that they will work with the investigative agencies and give them the documents or not give them the documents. That up to Siemens to answer.
Sir, are you registered with the agreement without informing the head office?
Sir, any?
Dates are left vacant when you sign the MOU.
Okay.
Just getting agency claims that whatever you are saying is completely wrong and they have participation from the Siemens globally.
They have letters
And
from
will be informed to the head office.
stating that without their knowledge.
Sir, let me answer one by one. I have especially these days after all this, I've got very short memory. Take one by one. So first, I'll come and answer yours.
Will be informed to your office, head office.
Answer yes. There are enough.
The dates in the MOU.
Okay, so let me first talk about information of the office. First of all, if you have ever anyone who is seeing this, hearing this, reading this, and who has worked for multinational and the kind of positions that I am in, you will realize that no one in a multinational company can do anything. And I'm mentioning no one, not just at my position, lower, higher, even the chairman of the company can do anything without everybody, at least 20 people in the company being involved. Right? So whether it is approval of the project, whether it is approval of the technology, whether it's approval of the pricing, whether it's approval of the contract terms, whether it is approval, everything. And there are enough documentary flows and evidence where my boss, my super boss is directly writing to Design Tech saying, we need this order, so and so time, and here is a payment term extension. There's all enough documentation. Number question is the dates. It was brought to my notice. I remember specifically the date because it was the last date of June. I didn't realize that time how it missed everybody's attention that there was no date. Incidentally, the date that I remember, Design Tech remembers the same date, APSSDC also remembers the same date. So when the parties who are signatory to the agreement, they all say the date is the same day, then I think that confusion is rest to rest. Right? Because none of us are disputing that I didn't sign on this date, I didn't sign on this area. So everybody is saying it's in the same date. And I can also tell you there was a power cut. In the evening when we were signing, there was a power cut. Candles were brought in till the power was restored. I very vividly remember. So I think that there's no question on the confusion on the date.
Yeah, the investigating agency claims
Sir, again, thankfully at least you have used the word claim. I would rest it at that because I am too small an authority to fight a authority like this. I can only say I have visited their offices more than 26 times, maybe 30 times now. I was not shown any such letter. I was not even not a single statement has been signed by me. So they have not got me to sign anything. So I was not shown any such letter. I was not shown any such proof. These are all statements. Now, if statements were the truth, then I'm sure the courts would take cognizance of it. And that's possibly the reason why the courts are saying there are no evidences that has been supplied. Court goes by evidence. And I think the judiciary, thankfully, is still the pillar that is giving us the relief, and the judiciary is very clear that there have been not a single evidence, a single iota of evidence, so on and so forth.
Why ED has initiated the inquiry on?
Sir, I can't say, sir. I don't work for that company or that organization, nor I have friends in that organization, I can't say. But the only thing I can say is the same was the observation by the court as far as they were concerned.
CID is alleging that you made, Suman Bose made some initiations to speak with some shell companies and doing something.
So first of all, none of these companies were shell companies. So first of all, again, this I'm not a legal guy, so I'm going to talk in the business sense. No. So all companies finally who delivered the project were selected by Siemens, not me. I'm like you are representing a media, right? But there's a media behind you. You're not an individual. What you are asking as a question, what you're going to write as a question is the responsibility of your media. Similarly, yes, 100%. And number two is, what is a shell company? A company which is functioning, companies which has employees, the company which is paying salaries, the company which is paying its benefits, the company which is paying taxes. These are all shell companies. One day suddenly somebody says they're shell companies. So I may also as well say that you guys don't even exist. Does that make it truth? Any more truth than you saying that I didn't exist over here? This was a robo who came in and sat over here and spoke. That isn't truth. The truth is right in the front. By calling somebody a shell company, it's like calling in the schools, you call somebody a name. It's name calling. And that is what is happening. The problem that is these allegations are impacting people's lives because behind these companies are individuals like me who have families. These are impacting our lives. We are not institutions. We are not companies. We are no more, I'm no more a company. These are impacting our lives, our literal lives. But what is impacting more is that, imagine this 213,000 student. It was your brother who went and got trained over there, and suddenly his employer is calling and saying, by the way, the certificate that you have given to find this employment, this certificate may not be valid because your government is saying that this was actually a scam, this certificate isn't valid. It is exactly like that. It's a nightmare. It's a nightmare for the parents of these 213,000 students. And that is what has implored me because I have taken this last 2 years. You separately go and talk to my family and you will understand what has happened to them. But I'm not calling for sympathies, but I'm saying, please do not put the 213,000 people who got trained over there below a bust. These allegations are impacting lives.
Sir, in your company, you only did all these things, they went out at other institutions. You only intentionally, deliberately did all these reports.
So first of all, this internal report, I was not privy to. Okay? The law of natural justice says that if you are doing an investigation against somebody, you must at least call that person. It's like you're a newspaper reporter, you're writing a report against somebody, you will at least write that what is your opinion, I'm going to write this piece. The company may decide not to come and give you an answer. And you will write that there's no disclaimer by the company, or this is a disclaimer by the company. But I'm still sticking to the report or not sticking to the report. I was not given any opportunity. I didn't even know such a report existed till the report was filed in the courts. Okay. All I can say is I've read the report thereafter. It is laughable. It is laughable. And I will leave it at that because I think the rest, again, the courts of the country will decide.
Do you have the proof that you are telling it's a lawsuit?
So obviously, I've been that's what my as an individual, that's what I'm fighting in the courts with.
Why you left Siemens in 2008?
See, it's very personal. I was turning 50. And I said, I think something happens to you, right? When you turn 50 and he said, I want to do something else in life. I want to do something bigger in life. I want to get into, I was part of a couple of not-for-profits. I want to do some more social entrepreneurship, etc., etc. And I've done 30 years of corporate career across the world. So I've seen all that had to be seen. And I said, okay, I'm going to go out and do something of my own. And that's what I've been doing.
Issue is not the reason behind it.
No, not at all. Not at all. Not at all. And I saw, unfortunately, I saw that, he was fired and etc. I mean, I would love to ask anybody from Siemens gentlemen to come in and show me how they had fired me. By the way, I resigned in 2016. The company requested me to stay back for 1.5 years. And because I was not going and joining a competition or any other job, I had no problem. I stayed back.
You were not asked to resign.
Absolutely not. 2016 I had quit. In October 2016, the company asked me for 1.5 years to continue to stay as managing director and this big outreach program that we did to train other organizations in Siemens organizations across Asia Pacific on how this large skill development projects could be done, based on which China did its first skill development project. That China had sent in a team to India to learn how to do these projects, and then they went in and they did these projects. That was my job. In 1.5 years, I stayed back and I delivered with the company.
International companies like Siemens gets into such situation, or you can say political vendetta or analyst scam, what value does it hold globally?
Again, this is a very conjectural question, and unfortunately, I am not equipped to say this. You ask me about technology, about AI, I would love to talk for the next 2 hours, 2.5 hours. But I can only say a company of Siemens and its reputation for so long is a company that has weathered multiple such storms. And the truth will finally prevail. It will prevail within the highest echelons of Siemens, no matter what happens in the local countries, etc., individuals, in which individuals actually don't matter. Just like in government, individuals don't matter. In large companies, individuals don't matter. Right? It was not my personal company. And Mr. von Siemens' family is no more in Siemens. So, it's an organization. The organization will stand in. The organization will find its truth. And most importantly, the land that we are sitting in, the courts, the functional courts, will definitely find its truth.
So do you think there has been any sort of argument between the ruling party, Business Party, and the Siemens headquarters?
I can't say. No, ma'am. This is absolutely a question that I don't even know. I don't even know whether to start, what to think, etc. I can't say this.
So why they changing the GO and the input?
I didn't even know there's a geo. Because we were as individuals, as private companies, we were not purview to any geos.
Geo case that Siemens will invest 90% and the rest will take
I can't say. But it was always right in the first day, right from the first day of our discussion, and multiple documents, have been exchanged. There was not just one PPT, 2 PPT, multiple, thousands of pages of documents have been exchanged, modified, drafted. There were always mention of grant in kind. There is nothing called investment, etc. I mean, somebody can think, okay, grant in kind is essentially giving it's like a quasi investment. So there are software components, there are hardware components, there are know-how components, which is intellectual property components. There are services components. Sorry. So all of that. So basically, there's a whole project deliverable. You price that whole project deliverable. It comes to an X value. You're charging Y. X minus Y. Y is the grant in kind, and that is what it is. And it is very clearly, if you look at the proposal, which was a part of the MOU, which has been successfully, or I don't know why it has never been talked about. There is a proposal also to the MOU, and it's a huge, thick proposal, and there are lots of documentations leading to the proposal. The proposal very clearly describes what is grant in kind, what is what under which head what grant in kind comes, what are the deliverables. It goes into the details of the classroom, of the courseware, of what will be taught in the first year, what is in the second year, how everything, and then it justifies the grant in kind and etc. Sir, as I would say, like, I am coming over here because today it is. I couldn't take it anymore. You are the fourth pillar. this country and the democracy stands on your shoulders? Go and ask these questions. You can ask me any question about my role, Siemens' role during my time. I'm in front of you.
Yeah.
I'm an open book.
Last one. So we got one information. You have to give the clarification how far it is true. Investigation agencies like ED and CID were pressurized you to spell out Chandrababu Naidu's name. How far it is?
I would like to leave it with a smile. Some words are said better with smiles or with tears.
You didn't say anything.
No, I don't want to comment into this. I only, because I've submitted myself to the courts. This is something that you have to read between the lines.
So what are all the names they asked you to?
They're suspecting my own name. What name they would ask? They're suspecting my own name. I'm sure if my parents would have been alive, they would have been thoughtful if this was their son. No, sir. We are part of the gravy trail, and I don't think anybody cares about us, what happens to us. But as I said, we have got reliefs from the courts, and I'm very thankful to the lordships. Sorry? No. So whatever reliefs we have got, because the matter is sub judice. Whatever reliefs we have got it still now from the courts, right? It's not on somebody's personal benediction. It's court's benediction. It's the benediction of his lordships. So, and I believe that finally, there's a Hindi saying, right? Dur hai, lekin andhera nahi hai. So, something like that will happen.
So do you think that you and Siemens and all who are all involved in this case will come out successful?
I can say this 100%, sir. My faith has only redoubled. My faith on the Supreme. And I can tell you, finally, truth prevails. I can only tell you this, that after one long session, they said, but they asked me I was asked random questions for 4.5 hours. I was asked that, you're so prepared. I said, no, I'm not prepared. If you wake me up in the middle of the night at 3 o'clock in the morning and ask me this question, I will still give you the answer, because I don't have to remember truth. You have to look into a piece of paper and ask the questions, because whatever be the reason, I'm not going to say anything else. Sir, you are press. I'm sure your intelligence goes far more further. I'm a technologist. I'm a technocrat. I know how to build industries and how to find jobs for people.
So you claim that there is no corruption happened in this country?
Nothing. And all I can say is that I was enamored by the visions of the various. And it's a tough job to lead a state. And not just, I'm talking about AP. We have worked for multiple state governments. It's a tough job to lead a state. To balance what the chief ministers in these states wanted to do. And I'm thankful for the opportunity that they had given us at that point of time to do such landmark projects across the country, including Andhra Pradesh.
What do you want to say on Chandrababu Naidu arrest, as you also worked with
I have no comments. Sir, I would like to not tread into that water. I would like to take your leave if there are any questions directly to my role. No. The project, it's one example I would love to give you is you're constructing a house, right? Your house is constructing, you're living in that house. I'm 100% sure you didn't check the lorry's invoice whether that was rightfully hired by the guy who supplied you the stone chips. No one does that. That's crazy. Now, if that is the reason, maybe there was something wrong there. Let the investigation find it out. But that doesn't mean that the house you're staying in is wrong and you're actually staying on a field, so you're in an illusion of living in a house. You're living in that house. You're sitting on the chair. Right? So, let's talk about facts which are verifiable. I don't want to get into conjecture. Everybody is doing their jobs. The investigating agencies are also doing their jobs. The courts are doing their jobs. My legal team, thankfully, I was represented by some great lawyers who my family thinks are actually extension of gods, Mr. Adinarayan Rao and Sarat Chandra. So they are all gods to my family. They're all facts, and I'm sure that the truth will prevail.
Sir, but the courts are believed that there is a prima facie evidence
For at least for us, the courts didn't believe it. The High Court, Honorable High Court, didn't believe it in both the cases. Both the times they said there was no evidence. There was no evidence. That's what the Honorable High Court said. No, obviously not. I mean, you know how long these cases go, right? I may actually, I joke with my daughter, a dark joke, that I may actually die with these cases on my head. Sorry? I'm still believe that there is a greater kind that needs to be done. There are companies that need to be built, the jobs that need to be created. This country needs jobs. We are a population, a young population. We need jobs. We need, and I'm one roadblock. If it takes me away from them, then I think my education is a waste. A roadblock cannot take me away from this. This is a roadblock. It happens. Good things have happened in life. Did I question God? Why did you give me such good things? Bad thing. So he's going to be standing beside me. I have a tremendous faith. I'm redoubling on my faith. I think I will leave it at that point.
What do you want to say on the vision of Chandra?
Amazing vision. I mean, his vision of, it sometimes staggers you. And as I said, by the way, I've worked with multiple state governments. Being a chief minister, I'm sure, is a very tough job. Because imagine if as a CEO of a company, if I can imagine how my 24 hours went, and he's representing crores of people, and he's articulating to the last level of how he wants to translate and build the industrial infrastructure, including the soft infrastructure, which is skills of the people, to find jobs so that they can find jobs across the country, maybe internationally, so that they become ambassadors and bring in investments into the state. If this is not enthralling, then what is enthralling? And I'm saying any chief minister must be having a very tough job, and they have all demonstrated that, and that's why we had worked finally with those states to deliver these projects. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Very thank you for having and giving me a listening time on this day.